Do you feel like the jury, obviously the obvious disadvantage of not calling her is they don't hear from her side, they don't
Right.
get to know her as well as maybe they would.
Right.
Obviously there are risks too, but do you feel like the jury didn't know her and that's why this verdict came down?
I don't know. I don't want to second guess the jury. I mean, you get down to it, this is a case in which she subjected herself to an interrogation the day that she was arrested, and she made some incriminating statements. Our argument was that that was not a reliable statement, that she was not a good historian of the events because of her mental problems, but obviously the jury disagreed with that.
I want to ask you another follow-up question to something you said earlier. When we were talking about her outbursts and being reminded of the date rape scenario, and I want you to kind of explain this to me, but what was that doing to her emotionally? Was it making her relive that experience, or?
I don't know. I just saw the reaction, and she was upset at having to see him.
And that was probably the first time she'd seen him since.
Yes, they'd had no contact since late December, early January 2011.
So the night of conception, probably.
Mm-hmm.
Is the theory based on the
Right.
testimony I heard. She has been. I don't know how much we were talking about social media a minute ago. I mean, anytime we put something on this story on our website, we get a lot of comments on it. A lot of the comments are, I'm just being frank, let
Sure.
her try,
Sure.
eye for an eye, give her the death penalty immediately. I mean, there's a lot of those kind of comments.
Oh, absolutely.
We get. Is there anything you would say to those people who have that opinion about her, and what would you want them to know?
Well, just that she was somebody who I firmly believe, based on all the proof, was suffering from a number of mental illnesses, that she had and dissociative disorder. I do not believe that she recognized that she was pregnant. I think that when she started delivering these babies, that was the first time that it really came to her. And I think what's difficult to grasp is that, from what I understand from the psychology of it, somebody can be in a dissociative state but periodically recognize reality. Example that was used was somebody can have cancer and be in total denial, and then at the very end, or maybe example I used in final argument, at the pearly gates, they're then asked, did you die of cancer? And they sort of, yes, acknowledge it. On some level they realized it all along, but consciously denied it the entire time.
I mentioned, I'm going to wait till this goes by. I'll just ask him one question and then we'll be done
Sure.
by the time I'm done. We mentioned that we talked to a juror yesterday, and I asked him about the theory of the non-fetal position, the pregnancy denial, mental issues she had that contribute to the physical changes, as you put it. The juror I spoke with kind of felt like you all made that up, and that wasn't a real concept. Where did that come from, and what would you want people who hold that opinion to hear?
Sure. I mean, the medical literature is there, and Dr. Kenner testified to it, and he even testified that women who are in pregnancy denial carry the babies vertically, and when they, if at some point during the pregnancy, finally realize and understand they're pregnant, that their body changes and the babies come in a fetal position. There have been plenty of documented cases where women in pregnancy denial continue to have menstrual periods throughout the entire pregnancy because their mind overcomes the physiological aspects of their body.
You were denied a number of testimony that you wanted in there. I think almost all of it dealt with disputing that taped confession.
Yes.
If you could have brought it in, what kind of things would you have presented, and why would those have been key to your case?
Well, one of our witnesses, Dr. Kenner, had spent a lot of time going through the transcript and the recording of her statement to Detective Malik, and he was able to point out situations where an answer would be suggested to her, maybe three, for example, three possibilities, and she would generally choose the first. And you have to remember, she was interviewed on the 14th, 2 days later, and there's a difference between what she knew on the night of the 12th when she was delivering and what she realized 2 days later when confronted with the reality of what had occurred.
At present point, unless you're able to get something changed on appeal, she's going to spend at least 51 years behind bars from what we're told. That's
yes.
Assuming that sentences aren't consecutive.
Sure.
I don't know that we know what the judge is going to do with that. Do you have any feel on that one at this point?
No, I don't. And she has no prior record. I talked about literature and studies that have been done about pregnancy denial. There's also been studies about neonaticide, which is someone killing newborns. And even if the state's theory were 100% true, people who are otherwise law-abiding citizens who do commit the offense of neonaticide, killing their newborns, are generally not at any risk to reoffend. I don't think Lindsey Lowe poses a danger to anybody.
Does she feel, as I said, we didn't sense a lot of emotion for her children. As you put it, she was trying hard to not focus on that during the trial.
Right.
But privately, when you're talking to her, does she feel remorse?
Oh, absolutely.
Is there anything you can tell us what she tells you in that regard?
No, she just, she's somebody who's very close to her family, has a very strong faith, and she just worries terribly about her family and the position she's put them in, and about everything that's occurred. And she just, she's very, she's been called all kind of terrible names by people commenting to news stories and so forth. But the truth is, she's a fine young lady with just some real serious mental health issues.